Hello. So, in today's video, I'm going to rank and review the entire series of the Leprechaun movies. Now, as a quick disclaimer, I want to start by saying that as part of this ranking, I will not be including Leprechaun Origin. Why? Because although it's nicely shot and it really feels like the characters are actually in Ireland filming this movie, the actual Leprechaun, you hardly see it. It has nothing to do with the Leprechaun from the rest of the franchise, which is something I'll get into in a little bit. But I mean, this felt more like a monster movie rather than a Leprechaun movie for me. So I was just not a fan of it. It's nice, like I said, it's nicely shot. If you want something that's nicely shot and you don't like any humor that from the Leprechaun, that's fine. You can include it. I mean, it's your choice. For me, this is one I will always skip right over if I'm watching movies from the Leprechaun franchise. In fact, that's many on this list, but I mean, moving on. Also, before I get into it, I want to give you a little background on myself. My family is heavily Irish. We have roots in Ireland. My parents, when they retired, went and visited Ireland. Our last name is from a river in Ireland. If my book series ever takes off, I'd love to go and visit it myself one day. Take my daughter on a nice little father-daughter vacation. Show her, some of her family history. I grew up with these movies, most of these movies. At least the first 4. So, I would consider myself a big fan of this franchise. This is something I look forward to, most every St. Patrick's Day. If I had the movies or if they're available to watch on St. Patrick's Day, I will sit down and watch some of them. I say some of them because some of them were just so bad I never wanted to watch them again. But I will be reviewing the 7 movies that I consider part of this franchise. So let's begin. Number 7. Leprechaun 4 in Space. This is probably the worst in the franchise for me. It just had the worst effects. I mean, this was like something that was made for late night HBO where nobody's gonna really be watching it. Anyone who is watching it is half asleep. The writing was bad. The effects were bad. The only redeemable spot in all of this was some of the jokes, which weren't even that too funny, by Warwick Davis. Like, he did the best with what he had. That was it. No, that was it. Warwick Davis and him doing the best, They had him wielding a lightsaber shillelagh. Many of the effects, going back, looking at it now, really make me think of Doctor Who episodes from the David Tennant or Matt Smith era of Doctor Who with a worse budget. I mean, this one was just really bad. They tried a ton of different things. It's like they took a lot of old episodes of Doctor Who and tried to smush them together, and whatever they were trying to make just did not come together. So this is why this is number 7 on the list. Number 6, Leprechaun in the Hood. Now, I've seen this one and the other one probably one time, and this to me was just, maybe I don't understand the culture, but I wasn't a fan. Yeah, again, in all of these that have Warwick Davis, he delivers really good lines. He has some funny jokes. He's probably the only one I got an enjoyment out of watching. The rest of the movie, no. Number 5. Leprechaun, Back to the Hood. Again, this one was a little better, but not too much better. This one and the previous one, they had some really bad editing, and they had some really bad things. I mean, I just, like I said, maybe I don't get the culture. You know, because I'm not into a lot of stuff that was going on in those movies. But I like Warwick Davis's portrayal as the Leprechaun. There were some interesting kills. Number 4. Leprechaun II. So, this came off the heels of the first Leprechaun movie, and it tried to do something different. Now, everybody was really confused when this came out because they assumed this Leprechaun was the same Leprechaun from Leprechaun 1. And they're like, why are we getting the different backstory? Why are we getting, a different, arrival of the Leprechaun? And the reason was basically this. Except for the exception of the first movie and Leprechaun Returns, all the Leprechauns in all the movies are different Leprechauns. They're not the same one. This, again, Warwick Davis was really good. I really enjoyed his performance. There was a lot of cheesiness in this one. I think it would have been better if the series had a idea where it wanted to go and what it wanted to do. It was still seeming to try to find its footing throughout most of these. Like, we don't know what we're going to do, so we had him in a farmhouse in the first one. What are we going to do in the second one? Let's put him in the city. Oh, what are we going to do later? We'll put him in space. What are we going to do later? Put him in the hood. It's like they just randomly came up with stuff, and it's like, that just doesn't work. Have a set idea for the Leprechaun. Number 3. Leprechaun 3. Why Leprechaun 3 for number 3? Well, because, it's just as cheesy, if not cheesier than 2. But I will have to say, the Vegas setting was a little bit more memorable than the previous one in the city. Like, that city was almost like any city. I think it was supposed to be Hollywood, but this is, Vegas, which, with the whole aspect of gambling and stuff, really plays into the Leprechaun's MO. I think it was one of the reasons why he was able to shine so much better and make such funnier jokes, because you got to play around with him in this setting. This is a place where people are often greedy and gamble away their life fortunes. This is, a perfect place for him. Of course, you've got all these other characters and subplots and other subplots going on. So, of them, I'd say yes, this was a more memorable one than 2. Moving on to my number 2 choice. I want to just say that this number 2 choice was very close. I'll tell you why at the end, but Leprechaun Returns. Leprechaun Returns is here at number 2 because, like I said, this is the only time in the entire franchise that you are getting a repeat Leprechaun. This is the same Leprechaun from the first one. What holds this back from actually hitting the number 1 spot for me is the fact that it's not Warwick Davis playing this Leprechaun. The actor did a really nice job. I wouldn't mind seeing him play a Leprechaun in one of the others. But although he is not Warwick Davis, it really shines through. He seems like he's trying really hard to capture the same essence that Warwick Davis had. And he's just not quite making it. They do bring back a couple characters, well, one character from the original movie. I think it would have been better if, we got a little bit more with other characters. I mean, it couldn't be that much to get him to say, hey, just come in for like a half hour. Film one scene. One 5-minute scene. Wishing your daughter off, handing her some keys, warning her, telling her something. That would have been cool on Jennifer Aniston's part, and it would have helped solidify this movie a little bit more. But other than that, what's it about? Well, the daughter of Jennifer Aniston comes, not the actual actress, but, her character from the first movie, goes back to this farmhouse in North Dakota. And this is where they defeated the Leprechaun. The house has been bought by a sorority for a nearby university, and they're fixing it up. And the Leprechaun gets out of the well and starts going after them, looking for his gold. A repeat theme of most of these movies. And when he's not looking for his gold, he's usually looking for a wife. So, basically, they gotta defeat the Leprechaun again. Now, like I said, if there was just a little bit more done to this movie, a little bit more money thrown at this movie, if they had got Warwick Davis to come back one more time, this could have been the best one. But unfortunately, they didn't. So, the number one spot goes to the original, The Leprechaun. This movie is kind of a product of its time. I mean, it's good for what it was. This is a movie I do enjoy rewatching. And now that we have Leprechaun Returns, I like to watch them back to back. Honestly, I could skip the rest of this franchise and just watch these two movies. That's fine. This isn't like, when I have particular interest in certain things from the other movies, that it ruins the, canon timeline. I enjoy this movie probably the most because it is the funniest. And in my opinion, it had one of the best one-liners, ever. So, I'm really a sucker for a good one-liner when you have a movie like this. So, if you want to check out an interesting movie for this St. Patrick's Day and you have not watched The Leprechaun, I would suggest checking that out. And then why not check out Leprechaun Returns right after? You really don't need the entire franchise. I mean, you can watch it if you want to see how, the others stack up for you and you want to put out your own ranking. But for me, I would just stick to these two. I would like to see possibly a return of the Leprechaun franchise. Kind of give the franchise a all new reboot. Where basically you start off kind of in like maybe the 80s. And actually have it be the same Leprechaun for like 3 or 4 movies. Show him arriving. Show him going back to Ireland. Actually take the fight to him. Something like that would be interesting. So, Let me know down in the comments below if you agree, disagree, what you would rank the movies as. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing today. Make sure to click the notification bell. I want to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day. Please drink responsibly, have fun, and I'll talk to you next time.